And bam, just like that, we're here with Youth Central Sports. I'm Charles Morse and happy to be with you. And I just was talking to the original Coach Carter. And for those that don't know, by the way, welcome to Youth Central Sports. Again, I'm Charles Morris, happy to be with you on this Wednesday evening where we come to you every Wednesday, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, Youth Central Sports. And I'm usually with Coach Carter. Coach Carter had a little accident a couple of weeks ago and had to have surgery. He was carrying something, from what I understand. By the way, he's up in Tennessee. He left Orlando and he's coaching high school basketball up in Tennessee. And evidently he was carrying something up some stairs, had a misstep trying to catch himself, and he ended up tearing something in his leg. And for the past couple of weeks, he's been out. And when I spoke to him last week, he thought that he would be able to do the show tonight. But I was just talking to him, and he had me laughing because he's going through therapy, and he was just mentioning that that the doctor, the therapist, had him doing some stuff that he said he didn't like, but he said normally he would be able to do this stuff, man. But I can tell that he's having a difficult time. So he said that he's going to try his best to be with us next week. So we want to wish him well, speedy recovery from the surgery, and that hopes that, I mean, I was listening to him and he didn't sound good at all. And he said that he wanted to try to make his way up to the bedroom where he needed to be in order to do the show. But that sounds like that was going to be a struggle for him tonight. So hopefully he'll be back with us next week. He can give us an update on how his team is doing. Understand that they are in the playoffs. I think they may have been like 22-5 on the season. It's somewhere around up in there. So they had a very successful season. So I don't know where they are in the playoff, but he'll be able to give us an update on that as well. So, but I'm Charles Morse, and very difficult. What we're going to be trying to do is, we've been doing this for a while. We used to do it locally here in the Orlando area, a radio station, and Youth Central Sports is under the umbrella of Youth Central Connection, my 501c3, a nonprofit. And I've been working with the nonprofit, been doing it for a while. And part of what I do is an annual event, which is a youth summit that I do every year. I think this coming up will be my 15th or 16th year. I don't forgot, but I've been doing it about 15, 16 years. And we decided to do Youth Central Sports because we look at sports as a great way of mentoring. And it doesn't matter whether or not it's Little League, it doesn't matter whether or not it's Pop Warner, it doesn't matter it's middle school, high school, college, and even the pros. Mentoring, a lot of mentoring goes on when it comes to sports and people and what it means. So that's what Youth Central Sports is about. I'm a little different. I grew up as a jock, a serious, hard-nosed, taught to play a certain way type of jock. And as I have been blessed with years, that God woke me up this morning, you start to see life in a different light, and you see life differently. And as you go about trying to grow in life and live in your purpose, my view of sports is probably, I would say, very different than the average sports fan, because I will always say that God didn't put us here to play sports, but we do it and we can do it very well. But that's not why we're here. But it doesn't mean that God can't use it or us in the sense of what we do to do his work. And the reason why I say that is because we emphasize sports as a way of the Bible. And it's kind of sad that we put more emphasis on it versus what our purpose and why we're here. So that's where I come from. I'm not going to really get into that, but I will always say this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. On any Saturday or Sunday during a football season, through all around this country, as those stadiums are filled, whether it's high school or football or high school, college or pros, and we know those stadiums are filled with thousands of people with passion and heart and everything else. If we can take that same passion that we cheer and go overboard and do all these crazy things for a meaningless game and direct that same energy towards our purpose and why we're here and loving and trying to find God and who we are, just imagine how awesome this world would be. That's the angle that I come from. So I think we get lost in our own madness, our own selfishness, our own misunderstanding, and lost within ourselves to really understand why we're here on this earth. So with that being said, what's happening in the world of sports today? So I got to sit here. I just found out like 10 minutes before the show that Vince was not going to be available. So it's kind of like a monkey wrench because I had some things that I was going to bounce off of him and some things that I wanted to talk with him about. And with that being said, there's always a lot to talk about, especially now. You know, the NFL is a year-round sport. And when it comes to things that go on, and there's always trades being made, or somebody is always in the news in some kind of way. I know there was a trade today in which I really wanted to talk with Vince about because Vince is an avid Dallas Cowboy fan. I used to be a Cowboy fan back in the day because my mother was the one that got me into sports. You hear me say that all the time. My mother was a big sports fan. And when I say, and that's how I learned sports. I learned sports through her. She was a serious Yankee fan. She was a Knick fan. She was a Philadelphia fan when Dr. J played. She loved Oscar Robinson. And she loved the Dallas Cowboys. So growing up, I loved the Dallas Cowboys back in the day. I'm talking about what I considered not the Dallas Cowboys that a lot of people like with Emmitt Smith and the playmaker and those guys. I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys that I know of: Harvey Martin and Hollywood Henderson and Too Tall Jones and Billy Joe Dupree and Randy White, Roger Staubach, Calvin Hill, Tony Dorsett. What's the Pearson, Tony Hill. That's the Dallas Cowboys that I know. Okay, those are the ones that I cheered for and that I look for every Sunday. Vince is a serious Dallas Cowboy fan. So with the trade today from Seattle, I think it's Bennett, the defensive guy that Seattle sent to Philly, and I wanted to ask him whether or not that made them a better team, which means that they probably would be giving Dallas even more so a run for their money. But just like any team that has won the Super Bowl, now you got a big target on your back. So it's a little different. So you can't sneak up on people anymore. I think they probably study a little harder, a little longer. And you coming in as Super Bowl champs, you truly got it. People going to have a chip on their shoulder. But, you know, that's all part of it. Philly is a very good team. So, and they missed some of the key players last year. And they still went on to have a very successful season. Not quite sure what they're going to do with their quarterback. Well, I mean, they have to trade him. Well, they don't have to, but from a business standpoint and what they probably can get for him, it would be a good idea to trade him. But then again, like, if they can afford to keep him without jeopardizing their roster from the from the payroll point of view, if they can keep him, then I would keep him at least for another year anyway, because you know how football is. You only a play away from cracking something, breaking something, here. So that's just the nature of the game. And there's also, I think, the concussions. I should have looked it up, but I think the concussions, statistically, I think they were up. And it goes back to the silly, stupid conversations, because you will actually, which is, it blows my mind. It's kind of like sitting here watching CNN, well, not necessarily CNN, sitting here watching any news station, sitting up talking about Trump, and they sit up and they say some of the dumbest, stupidest things when things are so obvious. Because I always say, if it walks like a duck, it has feathers like a duck, a beak like a duck, it smells like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. But it just blows my mind when they sit there and they be having the conversation, then they try to sit there and analyze sheer stupidity and try to have a decent, logical conversation on crap. It just goes to show you how dysfunctional we are as a whole. And I said all of that to say that people will actually sit down and argue whether or not we was put here to play football. That is just so asinine. It's crazy. It's just crazy. But I say that to say that I think in certain, I forgot what state, but they're trying to pass a bill or whatever that is, that kids cannot play football until they're at least 12 years old or older. Because, football is a very violent sport, okay? And it plays right into the sense of who we are as men. That's who we are. That's just who we are. We like to build it, tear it down, and blow it up. Being gladiators, that's our nature. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And that will always be, that will never change. So with this sport, it's violent. It's rough. It's physical. And there's really, and see, that's what's so funny, because everything is always about the money. That's a given. So when you see these flags being thrown over just a natural football play because somebody got hit hard and there's a difference between football now and football back in the day, because back in the day there was intent, because that's the way the game was played. I intend to knock you out. I intend to, so the rules are totally different now, because, I grew up in the era where there was Jack Tatum. Now, new school won't know who Jack Tatum is. Old school will know who Jack Tatum is. So I grew up, not only, I loved the Raiders. I loved the Raiders. I loved them. And there was a statistic, the Raiders, that they kept account or statistics on the teams that the Raiders would play. Let's just say if they played, any team that they played, the following week, there was this statistic on whether or not the team would win. And a lot of teams, the statistics were very low on teams winning the next Sunday. Because when you played the Raiders, you were so beat up that the following week, you just didn't have a good game. And they used to keep that statistic, and they kept it for a while back when it was the real Raiders, because they were just nasty. And that's how I liked my football. That's why I loved the old, like the 84, 85 Chicago Bears. I can watch them all day long. Forget the offense. Just put the defense out there on the field. They was just fun to watch. They would just, oh man, like the old Raiders, and even like the old Dallas Cowboys back when they had the Doomsday, and you know, Billy Billy Joe Dupree, and well, Billy Joe Dupree was Too Tall Jones, and Harvey Martin, and those guys, Randy White, Hollywood Henderson, and the list goes on and on. Those guys, but the Raiders, they were something to watch, man. But, and I say this because now the game has changed, and to me, I think honestly that they should put pink. All the quarterbacks should wear pink. Period. It should be mandatory that every quarterback that's in the game should wear pink. They should just wear pink. Now, I don't look at the game, of course, because I'm not that type of guy, because everything is for the money. The rules is for the money. Whether or not it's the NFL, the NBA, and now Major League Baseball is always about trying to do something for the money. Fan this for the fans, for the fans, for the fans, for the fans. There's nothing wrong with the game. There's never been anything wrong with the game, but they're always tweaking it and changing it, because there's really nothing wrong. But they're so money driven. Money, 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 that now that it's just like this conversation I have with Vince all the time. I sit and I watch the NBA, and sometimes it's hard to watch these guys, man. It's hard to watch that game, because the game is taking some major steps backwards. And sometimes, and I even asked Vince, I said, Vince, as you sit there and watch the NFL, I mean the NBA, if you was to go out and play, where are you going to go play that game that you see on TV? Where are you going to go play that game? Because you don't play it that way. So with that being said, that's just the nature of the beast, and that's just how it is. So with that being said, they're going to always tweak the game for the sake of trying to cater to the fans, because it's going to always be about the money. That's a given. So there's nothing that you can say. So as they try to protect the quarterback in the NFL, because it's a quarterback-driven league, they're going to try to protect those guys to the degree in which you can't even sneeze on them. Okay, you can't touch them, none of that. Okay, and that's the way they play the game. So that's why I always say, you should put them in pink. Just put them in pink, and they will be fine. That's just my personal opinion. Just put them in pink. It's so funny that New England is already the favorite to win, which I don't think really. I don't think they're going to win it next year. I really don't think they're going to win it next year. Interesting to see what Minnesota's going to do quarterback-wise. But that's a good problem to have. And I did learn something that I did not know about the franchise tag and why players hate it. And it's really simple. It's a really simple understanding of why you would hate being like when a team put the franchise tag on you. Even though for us, the fan, you see, okay, this guy gonna make this amount of money this year, in 1 year, which is a lot of money. Yes, it is. But you're unprotected if you get hurt. And that's the sad part about football in that sense. Now, I do these guaranteed contracts that like what the the NBA does, I think, which is really stupid. And I also know that a lot of the NBA coaches, not coaches, owners, you have to protect them from themselves because they really do stupid stuff when it comes to these contracts and these players supposedly trying to win it all. They do stupid stuff, trying to be so competitive. They really do stupid stuff when it comes to these contracts sometimes. You know, like this $1 million for these many years, and the same thing in baseball. And it's just crazy. I mean, I am about players getting their money, but the idea, I don't know. There's just something wrong, man. I don't know. I told you I'm a little different. And thumbs up to those teachers in I think it was West Virginia, because as I was talking about how those stadiums are filled on Saturdays and Sunday with the passion for that game, but we don't have the passion for our teachers, firefighters, police officers, first responders. We really don't give a hoot, boy, but we have a ruckus if we don't have that football game. But to stand up for the rights of others, that's right. We have issues and problems about what's right in life, but don't get in the way of our sports. There's something wrong with us for a meaningless game that means absolutely, it's a child's game, and it means absolutely nothing to the fans that go and watch it. For all those that are Philly fans, and Philly won the Super Bowl, how did that help you in life? What did that do for you? I live in Philly and we won the Super Bowl. Now what? See, I get it if you play the sport, you practice, you worked hard, it's an achievement, it's an accomplishment. I get that. That's easy. But for all those fans who didn't have one workout, didn't run one route, didn't pick up one set of weights, don't know not one play, I think on Saturdays and Sunday, the passion that goes into that is reveal how empty we are in understanding of what we should be doing and where we should be. Because we over here pouring out so much of this and that over something that is so meaningless. And I love sports. I was taught, as a matter of fact, I had to unlearn some things as I got older because my coach taught us to play you kill a mosquito with an axe. And they'll say something like, well, if you was playing Barack, you would let him win. No, I would not. If I was playing Barack, and if I had a chance to play him a game of 21, and if we was going to beat him 21-5, I would try to make it 21-4. I ain't giving up nothing. That's how we was taught to play. And so I had to learn as I got older to tone it down, to realize it was just a game. As you mature in life, and I give you a perfect example of what I mean, and this is a perfect example. That Georgetown, North Carolina game, when that shot that put Michael Jordan on the map, that put North Carolina ahead, and Georgetown was coming down, and I was pulling for Georgetown because I was a John Thompson, Patrick Ewing fan. So I'm like, Sleepy, where are you? I'm looking for you, baby. Sleepy, I know they gonna find you, man. Come on, Sleepy. I know you somewhere. And when Freddie Brown did this and he threw that ball to Worthy, at that stage and time in my life, I was like, take a baseball bat. I'm gonna break both his knees and hit him upside the head. How could you be so stupid? And I saw on the sideline where John Thompson came up to him and gave him a hug. I was like, John Thompson, you need to choke the you know what out of him and kill him. But that's how immature I was. But as God has given me some years, I understand why John Thompson hugged him. And I understand that sports is just something that we do. It helps us in so many ways. Win or losses doesn't make you a champion of life. Not a sporting event. It's who you are inside and how you go about your life before, during, and after the game. It's what I had to learn. It's what makes you a champion. Not winning the game. It's how you win in life and how you treat people and who you are as a person makes you a champion. There's plenty of people who have rings where they've been crowned a champion. Don't pay child support. Don't know who their kids are. Abuse their wives. And the list goes on and on. But you'll call them a champion. Drugged out. The bottle. Dennis Rodman is one of my favorite players. Period. Love his heart, love his dedication. If he could pour half of what he poured into as a player, as a father to his daughter, he would be magnificent if he just had half of that. And he'll tell you that. But wherever he is out there into the world, that he needs to do all that he does. But the simple thing of just being a father to your daughter. And how many rings does he have? He can say that he's an NBA champion. As he was magnificent in effort and rebounding and defense, when it takes heart and dedication. But that same focus and energy as a father to his daughter. But you can crown him a champion. But he sucks as a father. But we love our sports. I'm sorry, but that's just me. Again, Freddie Brown, you know, I know as a coach when you see that happen, because back then I was much younger, but when you see what you see, and you learn these things about life, you get an opportunity to touch so many people. And that's what sports bring to life, those moments. You learn about friendship, you learn about hard work, you learn about the bonding. You also learn about when you don't bond. You also see when things work together. You also see what happens when you don't work together. You also see the highs, you see the lows. But you understand the grace and the mercy that God gives you another day. Whether or not you lose the game, or you win. Because God doesn't care about who wins the game. He cares about who you are during the game and after. So that's what Youth Central Sports is about. We talk about the mentoring. We talk about, like for an example, one of the conversations that I wanted to have with Vince, and I haven't had a chance to have it. I spoke to him briefly about it, but because of what he does, Vince has the gift and the blessings. He has the gift. He has a gift of being able to work with some of the hardcore guys that youth people, that kids, that a lot of adults don't want to deal with. He's comfortable in that environment. So when the young man went and shot up that school and killed those 17 people, that night, I think that was Valentine's Day, I think it was. I didn't do a show that night, but the following week, I think it was, I'm trying to get my dates right. But we wanted to bring that to light in the sense of what we mean by sports, because my question that I asked Vince, and we're going to talk about it, is that when you see certain type of behavior, when you, as a person, as a coach, how do you deal with it when you see a certain type of behavior? And he said, yeah, I have seen certain things that let me know that this child is a little different, or this child needs a little bit extra little attention. And that's something that we're going to talk about, because with sports, you see all of that, and you get a chance to mold and shape and make a difference. You're not going to save the world, but you can make a difference. And one of the things that I saw for the first time, that through all of the tragedy and all of the things that he did that was so wrong, and the people that died and so many lives were affected, nobody said anything about how this kid slipped through the cracks. How we as a whole probably failed it. So it was the first time, day before yesterday, that I saw that they was having a meeting about that. Because that's the true essence of trying to understand, because we don't deal with mental health in this country very well. We either lock them up or put them on meds. That's the only answer. We're going to shoot you up, get you like this, or we're going to lock you up. That's the only answer. Because it takes work. It takes effort. And it takes you not judging, which is hard to do. Which is the biggest problem, because we're going to judge you. Because we don't fit the mold, the average. So you're going to be judged. And by judging, it's easier to just to medicate it. Because you can't take the time to find out what the true problems are. And so when you deal with somebody like that kid, it's always going to go back to the family. It's always going to go back to home. That's where that's the key. That's the answer. Like, well, what was happening at home? How did this kid do all this, be all this, and all the people from the outside saw it, but not the people who was supposedly been raising him? He probably messed up too, because that's normal for them. So that's what the sports is about. The sports is about the connection. It's about the mentoring. And one last, and I'll leave this story alone. This is a true story. There was a coach who told the story locally, as a matter of fact, here in Florida. And what happened was he coached, and there was a young athlete that was pretty good. It was the same thing. He was acting out, and the funny thing, he said something in his spirit told him to spend a little time with this young man. And bottom line was he didn't. He had an opportunity, and he didn't take advantage of the opportunity of the young man. The young man came back some years later and killed, I think, his mother or somebody close to him. And the funny thing about his spirit was he wasn't as upset. Of course, he was hurt, upset. But he looked inward, and he looked at himself and said, I had a chance to make a difference in this kid's life, and I didn't. And if you don't think that it doesn't affect when you don't, you're wrong. And I think that he understood that because he had him. He had him right there, and he didn't. That's not saying that he could have done this and that with the kid, but the point of it is he was looking at it and said, you know what, I'll never know because I didn't. And that says a lot about him, especially when that kid took somebody who he loved away from him. They would see the bigger picture, understand why we're here, not to score touchdowns, even though we can. So I say all of that to say that here at Youth Central Sports, we talk about sports. Sports is big. It's huge. It's $1 billion industry, probably $1 trillion industry overall when it comes to all of sports. As much money as the NFL makes, as much money as the NBA makes, Major League Baseball, hockey, soccer. It's $1 trillion industry. So I get that part. And that's it. It's always about the money. Always about the money. And that's, that's not going to ever change. Ever, ever, ever. It's going to always be about the money. So we truly understand that. And so Vince hopefully will, be back with us next week. And we want to wish him well, because I can tell by the way that he sounded, he didn't, he's in a little pain, and well, easy for me to say, a little pain, but he had to have surgery, and I think it's a tendon, and if you know anything about that, you know that takes a long time to heal. His comments that he was making was that normally he would be out and about, but I'll tell you, once you get older, the body lets you know that you're older. So I'm just okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this real quick. So he was just saying that he's feeling it. I'm sitting here looking at this right here. I also wanted to ask Vince, how did he feel about Jerry Jones having to reimburse the NFL the $2 million, which was right, and I was I just thought it was odd, not odd, but that he had originally talked about appealing it, and they always tried to make it about your boy, the commissioner, and he's just doing his job, doing what the owner's telling what he's supposed to do. And they try to push him against Jerry Jones, and that's not the case, because that it's just easy to sell that kind of crap. But Jerry Jones paid back the $2 million, and it's funny because the guy said, "Well, that's like a drop in the bucket for him." It's kind of like, wow, drop in the bucket, $2 million. Must be nice, I guess. But I'm looking and it says that a Division I coach is injured trying to break up a little skirmish. So I wonder what that's about. But I thought that was kind of neat that Philadelphia is trying to recruit LeBron. I think it would be kind of odd. I'm not saying because I don't know about these athletes now, because they are not like the athletes that we grew up with. I think they're rock stars now. They're no longer athletes. So that's the approach. That's how they handle stuff. So sometimes it's hard to kind of deal with them. Sometimes it's hard to, follow them because of their arrogance and how we treat them and their egos, and just like they're talking about the NCAA and all of this stuff that's going on when it comes to these kids being paid under the table. And I was telling a friend of mine, this was a long time ago. And I'll say this, and I'll stand up and I'll say this anytime, anywhere. The stuff that was going on that I saw even when I was in junior college. The stuff that I saw when I was on the campus of an NAIA school. And I'll say this, you can go to any school. If you dig, I don't care what school you go to. Don't matter. Don't matter. It does not matter. Whatever school you go to, if you dig deep enough, you'll find something. I guarantee you, you will find something. And so there's something not right because the NCAA is just a bully. They're just a bully. I don't know how you fix it. They're wrong in what they do. They're wrong in how they do it. It's just sad, but now that times are the way that they are, you can't undo it. These kids are spoiled early. They expect stuff early. The parents expect stuff. So I don't know where you start. I have no idea. But to sit there and think that all this stuff does not go on and thousands of dollars are not being, underneath the table. Really? If you ever want to know, just follow the money. If you ever want to know why, just follow the money. If ever you in doubt, just follow the money. If you ask why, just follow the money. That's all you ever have to do, and that'll answer all your questions. Just follow the money. That's it. Just follow the money. Well, I am going to say that, again, we're going to wish Vince a healthy recovery. We want you to tune in next week, and we will have what we're going to start. I'm going to start calling it the 3-minute suicide for those who play basketball and you run suicides. So that's always fun. And so we're going to do a 3-minute thing, and I'm really not going to get into it right now, but it's going to be, I'm going to throw stuff out there, Vince, for 3 minutes, and I'm just looking for a response. And so, that should be fun. There's nothing new that we're doing here. But also we got March Madness coming up, and we're going to see, because it starts, I think, next Tuesday. Yeah. So Wednesday, we're going to ask Mr. Vince who he thinks going to make it to the Final Four. And who are you picking to go to the Final Four? Right? But I think this year it is wide open. It's wide open. So to me, I don't think it's really a favorite. We've had several number ones. There's no clear cut, and there's no clear choice to say, well, this team right here is going to make it. Now, there's a team that could get hot. Duke could get hot. North Carolina could get hot. Virginia could get hot. Michigan State could get hot. It's just right timing, the timing. So, and the thing is, it's going to be a break here, a break there. That's going to make the difference like any other run when it comes to the championship. It doesn't matter whether or not you're a Patriot or whoever. It's those little breaks. It's those little breaks that you get that end up be like, wow, it was that little play. It was an inch there, a call or not a call, or, somebody missed a little assignment. It's one rebound, one block, one guy that was offside, one guy that couldn't cover third base, so on and so forth. I don't know hockey that well. So I say all of that to say that March Madness is always a great time of the year. It is great. It really is. March Madness is just great. And that's one thing that I love about the collegiate sport. It's not as much as it used to be for the love of the game. Not quite sure what the NBA going to do about this one and done as they're trying to form this other league. So that should be interesting to see how they're going to make that happen. This one and done thing is a joke. A lot of these kids that is coming to the NBA are not ready. But that's what I mean by you have to protect the owners from themselves, because some of the times that they do stuff, man. And they're always trying to get an edge. And they just do dumb stuff. Always trying to get that edge. And you have to protect them from themselves. So I'm not quite sure, again, what they're gonna do when it comes to this one and done, or what they're gonna do with these young kids that are 18, some of them 18, 19 years old. It's going to be interesting again to see more of what the FBI is going to come up with. Sean Miller said he didn't. Trump said he didn't either. I wonder if he's singing the song Stormy Weather. Stormy. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's funny to me. I mean, that is funny. That is funny. But anyway, if you get a chance, please, we would love to hear from you. And what Peyton Manning sold his Papa John's store? Wow. And actually, you know what the funny thing is that as Peyton Manning sold his Papa John's store, Papa John's pulled out of the NFL as far as advertising with the NFL because supposedly the issue with the national anthem and all this other stuff. And then, of course, Pizza Hut stepped right in and even gave them more money. So the NFL is not hurting, and they won't, because it goes back to what I was talking about before. We don't have anything else to do. We don't know what else to do with our lives. I'm sorry, I was just reading something real quick. I apologize to you. When I was talking earlier about Michael Bennett going to the Eagles from Seahawks because, they say that, he's not the player that he used to be, but he's still good enough where he can be an impact player, especially on different packages. So, you know what? I hope they make it back to the Super Bowl. I don't have a special team. I used to, like I said, I used to love the Raiders. What's another team that I really like? I grew up with my mother with Dallas, with Roger Staubach and those guys. Then I used to really love the Raiders, man. I used to love Jack Tatum. Then I used to love the Bears, back when they were like kicking butt with that defense. I loved them, but I really don't have a favorite team because I like a team. I like to watch the teams. And then when I watch them, the ones that play hard, that put forth the effort, is the one that I pull for. Because I'm the type of person, I sit and I observe, and I want to see who want to win this game. I see how you play. I see the approach. I see how you go about the execution of this game. It doesn't matter whether baseball, football, basketball. And there may be something or somebody during that year that may draw my attention. I go, oh, you know what? I like this guy. I like this team. So I don't have a special team per se. I watch during the season, and that's how I choose who I want to win, based on how I see them play, the effort, the attitudes, the overall, just who they are as a team. So that's, but that's just me. And because when you play sports, and sports was such a major part of my life, and the whole preparation of what that is, when you're part of a team, and when you see that, because as you get older, you realize more and more what it takes to become a winner. So the older I get, the more I look for that. When I was younger, I did have a favorite team, but as I gotten older, and I don't look at sports like I used to, I just look for what I think is something that they understand what it takes to win. And they come together as a unit, as one. They're doing what is necessary. I like their attitudes. Anyway, that's just me. I don't know if I'm just weird like that. But I want to say, well, thank you for tuning in. Vince, hopefully he'll be back with us next week. And I hope he's taking he sounded like he was in a little pain. And I asked him if I woke him up, because he sounded like he was a little drowsy. But I can tell that it's really bothering him. Because, we like to be a little macho. But I can tell he's struggling a little bit. And I was just telling him, because about a week or so ago, I couldn't walk for 3 days. As a matter of fact, I tried to go out to lunch for Valentine's Day. And I felt so bad because I got halfway. I almost made it to the door to go into the restaurant. Because, this was about like my third day of struggling with my back. And when I tell you that I had to call for help to get back in the car because I couldn't make it. And I spent several nights trying to get comfortable, and I couldn't get up to go to the bathroom because I couldn't walk. And how I feel now is like a brand new person. And life is funny, man. Life teaches you little things to see, because that's how I am. Because I don't take that I can get up and just walk for granted. Because just a week ago I couldn't. I'm serious. I could not. So the little stuff in life I learned, man. And I see, I would share something with you, but I wouldn't. But I shared it with somebody, and they was laughing really, really hard. But it was the truth. It was the truth. And I kind of share it with you a little bit. But let's see, how can I say this? You don't even realize that you take for granted that you can go to the bathroom. I'll clean it up. I'm not clean, but I'll just say it like this. You don't realize that, like, when my back was out and I was struggling, and it was really, it's phases that you go through for it to get to that point where you couldn't walk. It starts out here and it goes to here, and it's something else. Now it's the main nerve that's running from the back down to the foot. I didn't realize that you just can't go to the bathroom and take the toilet paper and just wipe your butt. Evidently, there's a technique to it, because I couldn't do it. There was an effort that I had to make that happen. Because just because your hand is back there, don't mean you can do it. I cleaned it up for you. And I had somebody laughing because it was the absolute truth. I'm trying to tell you. You had to focus and realize that I don't know if you do it naturally, if there's a corner or angle or what. No, I just leave that alone. But I just say that I don't take, I understand the blessings and the little things. I do. Baby, put on my socks, put on my shoes. Man, you just don't know. Because when your back go out, I've had back problems ever since I was 19. And I have a queen size bed. And I want to tell you the absolute truth. I'm laying in bed, my back go out. And I look up and I say to myself, why is the remote way over there? That's how bad it is. But anyway, you join us again next week. I promise. If Vince Carter is not here, I think my man Ken Moore would be here with me. You would enjoy Ken. So with that being said, you enjoy the rest of your week. And get your sports on. And something that I always say, my other show that I do is called The Journey 2020. And you can watch The Journey every Monday at www.thejourney2020.com at 7 p.m. Monday Eastern Time. Please join us, thejourney2020.com, and you can join us. You can always text in. You can always email us as well. Your comments. Would even love to have you on the show. So let us know. And all is well. We love you. You be blessed. And I can't believe it. I made it through the whole hour. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your week.